Vivek Ramaswamy destroys CNBC host who hates free speech. Let's discuss this interesting topic together.
So here's what I say, Andrew. A lot of people conflate some of the difficulties here. I will acknowledge that operating Twitter as a free speech platform is not an easy thing to do because a social media platform cannot function without some level of content moderation. Literally, the things that would fill your feeds would be things like spam, porn, things that most people do not want to see on their feeds. At the same time, there's a way to do it. And in my view, there's a few simple principles. I've written about this in the Wall Street Journal and elsewhere. First rule of the road is no viewpoint-based discrimination. Spam, porn, content, moderate that, get it out of the feeds. But that means no viewpoint discrimination. And here's the rub. That means hate speech goes away as a category. Because heinous as it may be, hate speech is just someone else's opinion. Now, you add on to that the misinformation piece of this. If you're going to take down false speech, I believe a cardinal rule is that the company bears the obligation to prove that the speech was false before removing it. And then, if in doubt, here's a tiebreaker, give the power back to the user. Let the user decide what protocols they opt into and not, rather than making those decisions centrally for everyone, have different protocols that different users can opt into. And I think that is a workable formula for solving these problems.
This is a really interesting point of view and formula from Vivek. Name one instance in human history where those who fought to censor free speech were the good guys. I'll wait, Ramaswamy wrote in his X account. In July, another presidential candidate, Democrat Robert Kennedy Jr., said the FBI had become politicized under U.S. President Joe Biden's administration, with the agency suppressing or censoring information related to the authorities' political opponents.
Okay, so I'm going to make
advertisers. What, advertisers want to be in the midst of that?
Well, I think advertisers can choose which of those user protocols they want to opt into or not, right? So
the racist hate channel.
Give you the free speech channel. I don't think the people who are expressing those opinions want to have them described as racist.
I'm going to give you two examples that I think are really complicated.
I say give choice, decentralize it. Don't have one central body making those decisions for everyone. Let the users decide, and you know what? Let the advertisers decide too. I think that's hard to argue with.
Okay, John.
This is the right and proper way. Everyone has the right to choose this or that user for advertising. This is a simple way of choosing, and everyone will find it convenient.
I'm going to give you two examples that I think are really hard to deal with. Okay.
Great.
One. COVID Wuhan. Okay. That was actually stuff that was taken down by Twitter.
That's right.
And arguably, and I think there was arguments to say maybe some of it should have been left up in terms of people having debates about it.
I was going to say this. When Greenblatt was on, that was the same day Vanity Fair published this huge piece on how the odds are increasingly with a lab-based origin for Wuhan. Yeah. So he's saying no conspiracy, and just to prove his point, that was never that was a conspiracy that was true, maybe all along.
Okay, so let's say that's one issue on one side. Good. Paul Pelosi on the other side, which at least from my vantage point, and I say this, I try to say it apolitically, I think was heinous to put out there, and at least at the moment, seems very, very wrong.
Agree.
So the question is, I mean, this is not a unique question at this point in American history, and I think that takes some of the pressure off this conversation. The question for the House is, do the Nazis get to march in Skokie or not? This is a cardinal case in constitutional law. We learned in the first semester of the first year of law school, and it's a debate then as it is today.
You know, free speech ends where the law begins. U.S. entrepreneur Elon Musk has commented on the doubts of many internet users about his promise to bring free speech to Twitter, the social network he is buying for $44 billion in cash. The extreme reaction from those who fear free speech speaks for itself, the entrepreneur wrote, adding that by free speech he means only what is consistent with the law. I am against censorship that goes far beyond the law. If people want less freedom of speech, they will ask the government to legislate accordingly. So going beyond the law is against the will of the people, Musk explained.
This is not a real town hall. This is a privately owned company. And in some cases, the other social media companies are publicly owned companies.
But Becky, with all due respect, the whole argument
with all due respect is the rudest thing you could say to somebody. Go ahead.
I didn't intend it that way, but I would say that the whole premise of this discussion is predicated on the fact that Twitter is one of the main forums for open public discourse and debate today. It is one of the reasons I love this program is that people with diverse views can come together and exchange those views. We have lost those sacred spaces. Say what you will about Twitter. It is one of those few spaces on the internet today where people are still able to engage in dialogue outside of their echo chambers. Come back to your question, though.
Pelosi is very dangerous. If you look at the Capitol, Washington Post put out a story yesterday about how the Capitol Police watched this break-in, or would have if anybody anybody was monitoring the cameras. The stuff that was said about him definitely leads to additional violence. And you can say this. I'm not saying this just about the Democrats. This is definitely a situation where Republicans have been put in this position. We're going to have Scalise on, who was shot. He's going to talk to us about these situations.
So this is, but Becky, the thing I will tell you is this is not unique to this moment. We have been having this debate in this country since 1776, since 1789. This is the fundamental American debate. It is the bargain of free speech in our country. All right, free speech is not intended for the speech we love. It is intended for the speech that we do not love. Without it, it's not a free speech country.
So where is Ramaswamy wrong? Freedom of speech should exist as it is now on Platform X. It's the best place where you can discuss topics in peace. But the most important thing is to stay within the boundaries. What do you think about that? Write your opinion in the comments and don't forget to watch other shocking news on the channel.